Assalamu alaikum. Today we're going to talk about self-learning task related to crown and self-learning related to crown preparation procedures. I'm going to present to you this worksheet that you're going to submit. You're going to submit it next week, and there is a second submission of the same paper. You're going to resubmit it at the final stage of this course. Okay, you're going to submit it twice. This is initial submission and then the second submission. So your self-learning tasks will be related to each lab, and then you're going to submit it first in 1 week work, and then you're going to accumulate your knowledge. Whatever you accumulated more, you're going to re-edit the same submission, add to it what you learned more, and then you're going to go for the second submission of the same subject. Okay, and that will be the second submission will be part of your final exam. Okay, it's an open book homework. So my first self-learning task that's related very close to our procedure is one, anatomy of teeth. We know that crown preparation is changing the natural anatomy of the tooth into a mechanical anatomy that will provide us with the best substructure that will serve the crown over it. Okay, so we are refining the anatomy of the teeth, the natural anatomy of the teeth, into a simplistic mechanical form that will aid and increase the retention of our material and the serviceability of it on the long term. So the anatomy of the teeth I'm concerned about, that you will always be tackling and we will always be referring to when we are making any tooth preparation, because our tooth preparation is simply removing either enamel, okay, or dentin. So I need to know what is the anatomy of the enamel and the dentin. What I'm concerned about here are the depth. Okay, the depth of the layer of enamel and the depth of the dentin layer. Definitely dentin layer depth is related to the pulp, correct? It is related to the dental pulp. So where do I find this part of information? Okay, I will find it in the Wheeler's a book for morphology, the dental morphology book. So dental morphology books, textbooks talking about dental morphology. The second book that I'll find it in oral histology books, because they will be talking about the development of the layers and so on. And you will find the information also in the endodontic textbooks. Why? Because they're talking about the pulp morphology. So they will give you an insight about the pulp size and how it affects dentin. So if I'm going to talk about a recently erupted tooth, the depth of the enamel in a recently erupted tooth, is it maximum or minimum? Recent.
enamel ولا dentin?
Yeah. سؤالي إنه is the enamel is it in its thickest point or thinnest point? Thickest. So the enamel is in its most thick form. Okay. If I'm going to talk about recently erupted and dentin, is it in its thickest or thinnest?
Thinnest.
That's why I need to know this information, because this will depend on how much I could go into the tooth. Because if this is a young patient, my preparation will change. Okay, and if I could not get to my maximum outcome I would recommend, I would do a temporary preparation until I get to the final position. Okay, so my question is, what is the thickness or the depth allowed for you go into enamel? And by the way, enamel and dentin thickness or depth is different. If I'm talking about occlusal, you're going to divide it as occlusal, axial, okay, and finally let's say crown root junction, okay, or cement-enamel junction. A cement-enamel junction is where enamel ends.
No.
I don't want it there. I want the crown where we are going to the junction where we're going to do our finish line on, okay, which is the thinnest in maybe supragingival. Okay, so Dentine is the same. The pulp chamber, it has morphology, a different morphology. You know the morphology of the pulp chamber. So that morphology leaves us with a different thickness of dentine around. So you're going to look at occlusal, horn thickness, and axial, and it's close to the gingival margin. And we know that cement-enamel junction is deeper than the gingival margin. So this is my first task. My second task is material. How does my preparation get affected by the material? How do I change my preparation based on material? What are materials available for crowns? You're going to name them.
metal or metal.
What are they? Just
PFM.
PFM, zircon,
Emax مثلا.
AMAX. Now, in this time of age, we are not alone with zircon. Zircon now is a very old terminology, considered looking at the new monolithic material. We have a huge array of new monolithic material. I was doing a review. There is more than 102 material. This is what we got up to now in our review. We're looking for more. But the idea is